Welcome guys to this new episode of Let's Summarize, where we take a look at books on finance, psychology and personal growth. The book we are talking about today is Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. This is the Italian version of the book. He is an author that you surely already know about because his book was the center of another one of my previous videos. This book I'm holding in my hands, as I said, is the Italian version of the book, which oddly enough comes with a different name. So this video covers Tony Robbins' lessons on the road to success, focusing on personal power, internal-external communication, and the ability to take action. So this book emphasizes the importance of clearly defining goals, taking effective action, adapting to circumstances, and maintaining positive communication with oneself. So the core of this book is about mastering the internal representation and influencing the moods through internal communication and physiology to achieve the desired results. It is quite a thick reading. It's counting more than 500 pages, about 560 or 550 pages. Not everyone can get through this whole book, especially when it is speaking about such illusory and intangible concepts such as perceptions. While I do recommend this book, it is definitely not Tony Robbins' best book, and it seems like a stepping stone in his knowledge. Although it is very complete, it seems at times half-baked and overly simplistic, to the point where the text sometimes seems unlikely relatable to mundane experiences. Still, the book is an excellent read for those who want to take control of their life by starting with small and incremental rules that can be implemented immediately to have a compound effect on your future. But many videos of Tony Robbins you can find online can actually complete some of the knowledge gaps that are amiss in this book, such as what motivates us to do what we want to do. The way the author shows how to take control of your memories can work on somebody, but it seemed a bit out of touch for my taste. Nevertheless, this is the first bestseller by Tony Robbins, and it is a reading that I would certainly not skip, because it gives a valuable insight into the making of goals and success. I would suggest this book be read together with other books by the same author to give a broader understanding of the subject, and by peeling away all the layers, all the things that you feel like don't apply to you. My vote for this book is a solid 7.8 out of 10. So let's jump to the book now, shall we? So in this reading, Tony wants to teach us what led him to his success, namely power, or the ability to get the results we want, and to make events work to our benefit. So this power consists of defining human needs and meeting them, governing one's mental processes and behaviors to obtain our desires. So we all possess the same knowledge, but the action is what can separate those who achieve success from those who don't. Everything we do is determined by the way we communicate internally with ourselves. That's what we feel, think, and then imagine and do, and what we communicate externally to the world with our action, our physiology, and the words that we use. Our state of mind, thus, is derived from the internal communication, that is, the internal representation of what is happening outside. So nothing has any meaning other than the meaning that we attribute to it. Most people act as if this process was autonomous, but it is a power you can use to change the perception of your experiences. We create at any time our moods, basically. Depression, for example, is not something you get. You have to act, think, breathe in certain ways. You have to tell yourself certain things to achieve depression. So effort is required. By changing your physical action, your thoughts, and your physiology, you can then experience, on command, the emotion that you want to feel. In this book, Tony teaches a technique for taking control of projected internal images, changing them to our liking as if we were movie directors, taking away the intensity and the emotion from some episodes whilst stimulating others. Tony insists that those who achieve success use this 4-step process. Number 1, know the result you want to achieve and define it in great detail. Number 2, act with actions that have the greatest chance of achieving the desired result. Number 3, ascertain whether the result brings you closer or further away from the outcome. And number 4, change the behavior and adapt accordingly until the outcome is achieved. Now, the only difference between knowing and not knowing how to do, it lies basically in the ability to communicate to oneself in a way that induces action, establishing what needs to happen despite the failures of the past. The lesson here is that individuals can do almost anything if they can believe they can do it with effective actions. So the 7 characteristics that can cause people to act every day consistently with every possible resource without giving up are passion, which defines an obsessive purpose that drives them to grow. Faith, the ability to believe in our goals, that we can do it. Strategy, meaning to use our resources in the most excellent way. 4, clarity of values of what defines good and bad and what defines a life that is worth living to you. 5, it's energy to keep giving and giving. Number 6 is power to bind relationships with other individuals. And number 7 is the communication, internal and external. So, impactful events happen to everyone. During those times, we are tested under stress. Some come out destroyed and overwhelmed, while others can get something positive out of it. So what is the difference between these two types of people? The answer is the internal communication. The premise of the neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, is that we are all possessing the same neurology, the same brain, and that if someone is able to create a representation to get most out of a situation, then we all have the same ability. We just need to find out what successful people do and model them to achieve the same results. The action that produce our results are the belief systems, the mental syntax, that is how you organize your thoughts, the physiology, meaning the body and the behavior, and the modeling or the imitation of the way we represent events. Now, the physiology plus the internal representations equal the emotional states, which results in our behavior. The sum of millions of neurological processes gives rise to the state of mind. The state of mind we have at any given moment determines our behavior. If we take control of it, we can decide to be more dynamic and energetic and put ourselves in a state of mind that can help us overcome adversity. With the right state of mind, we can pull ourselves out of negative moods instantly. Usually we are at the mercy of our state of mind, and many try to change it through the use of drugs, alcohol, or nicotine. But everything humans desire is a state of mind. The formula says that the state of mind comes from the internal representations mixed with physiology. When something happens to us, we perceive senses, signals that are sent to the brain, which then receives them and chooses how to interpret them. Experiences are thus not what happens, but our internal representation of the event. We choose whether to represent things to ourselves in an empowering way or in a crippling way. Now, since for every experience there are infinite different points of views that you can focus on, nothing is good or bad, but only our perception is. To live in a more fulfilled way, we must then ask ourselves what the patterns of representation of successful people are, and we need to begin to imitate them. You get results nevertheless, even if you do not consciously decide what you want to achieve. But in that case, everything around you will influence you and force you to make decisions that will probably not help you. This is all very theoretical, but let's give it a practical example. A wife is waiting for her husband to return home, who is often late. The wife may choose to interpret this lateness in different ways. He had more work, he wanted to earn extra money, there was traffic, he stopped to buy a gift, he was in an accident, or even that the husband was cheating. Even though she's not certain that she's being cheated on, she can decide to take this approach. If the husband is faithful when he comes home and she behaves angrily, this will decrease the partner's desire to be with her, which will delay him even more the next days. He will be less happy with the time he shares with his wife, and he will feel that he has lost his partner's trust and respect, possibly instilling in him the idea of looking for somebody else. If the wife chooses instead to interpret his lateness as a possible incident, and she expresses instead of concern, hugging him and kissing him as he walks in the door, praising that he is okay, the husband is going to feel more wanted and missed, and it is more likely that he will make an effort to get home earlier, to spend more time with the wife. This is but a simple yet common example showing that how we interpret events can lead to completely different outcomes. Now, coming back to the belief system, if you believe something is true, you enter a state of mind that makes it possible. If you believe it is not possible, it is then kicked out of the realm of possibilities, although for others it is still possible. This is known as a limiting belief. The placebo effect shows that the body is affected by the power of beliefs even at the biological and the psychological level. This means that your beliefs are always true whether you believe you will succeed or not. What you believe becomes then your reality. The power lies in asking yourself what kind of beliefs are the best to have and learn to develop them. Most of the time, beliefs are unconscious. They come from our environment and knowledge and gained from experiences. Some studies, though, have shown that many talented young individuals did not demonstrate special abilities compared to other kids, but they were made to believe that with care and dedication they could reach the top. And these beliefs were imposed long before any talent came to surface. Therefore, you cannot let beliefs passively be formed by the environment, events, or transmitted by other people or previous results. If you make failure your own expectation, you will use less potential. As a result, you will get suboptimal results, which will only strengthen your failing belief system, reinforcing this negative spiral where failure basically generates more. If what we believe then becomes our reality, there is a story of a student who arrived late to class that can teach us something about that. When a student entered the classroom, he found a problem written on the blackboard. Having missed the explanation, he thought this was a homework assignment. In the days that followed, he had extreme difficulty and consulted several people for help, but he failed miserably. He tried dozens of times, failing again. With patience, time, and trial and error, after 6 weeks of effort, he succeeded in solving the problem. When he took the results to the teacher was at first very confused, because he did not remember assigning any assignments. He soon changed attitude when he realized that the problem he solved that was written on the blackboard was a statistics problem that was thought impossible to solve. And this is the story of George Danzig, who would never have attempted to solve the problem had he been aware that it was virtually impossible in the first place. So this teaches us that no matter how strongly we believe in a concept, we must be open to other possibilities, and you can do so by adopting the following 7 beliefs. Number 1, everything that happens has a meaning on purpose that we can use. There are infinite ways to view the same situation, but it takes great discipline to retrace our steps and learn hard lessons to repair the damage and turn towards other possibilities. It is, however, the only way that we can derive good and meaning from even the most horrible situations. So it's worth giving a try. Number 2, there is no such thing as failure, there are only results. Human beings learn primarily by making mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable to achieve success. They are simply a part of it. Number 3, take responsibility for whatever happens, so that you are not controlled by your circumstances. And keep in mind the outcome you want to reach and the behavior that you want to adopt. Number 4, acquire balanced knowledge. Understand what you need without wasting time analyzing everything. Number 5, people are our greatest resource. Number 6, make a union between your work and what you love so that each day of work gives you pleasure and joy. You can get more out of work if you see it as more than just means of bringing the paycheck home. There is no lasting success, number 7, without commitment and dedication. To have complete dominion over the mind, we must be able to control our interpretations by influencing these 2 things, the submodalities, and number 2, what effect the submodalities have on us. Now, I will show you a checklist of some of the many different submodalities. By tweaking them, these sub-differentiations, we have the power to change the perception of our experience, just like a producer changes the emotion of the viewers watching a movie, by increasing the volume, enlarging the images, brightening the picture, increasing the warmth and the brightness, changing the sound, and much more. By changing the following submodalities, you can take away the intensity and change the feelings you have about some experiences. Usually we react like Pavlov's dog, but thanks to this trick, we can change the stimuli to which we react. Ask yourself, if I continue to represent a thing in the way I am doing right now, what will the result likely be? Is it going to be helpful to me? And is that really the destination I want to get to? At this point in the book, Tony talks about success strategies, which are the arrangement of different feelings and sensations that bring us into a state of mind. We can use these strategies to identify what feelings and thoughts drive us into certain physiology, so we can reproduce it at any time to force ourselves in a productive state. All we need to do to put ourselves in a productive state at will is to control the internal representation and our physiology. Now, physiology also depends very much on a healthy body, which is why we also need to take care of ourselves. If you have an intoxicated body, your physiology can be disrupted, limiting the use of your energy. There are 6 keys to living healthy with your body, and they are as follows. Number 1, breathe properly. Good breathing can transport oxygen and promote the lymphatic flow of the immune system white blood cells. Good breathing and aerobic exercise are necessary to distribute the lymph throughout the body. A California doctor found out that proper diaphragmatic breathing creates a vacuum in the blood that sucks lymph into the bloodstream, multiplying by up to 15 times the rate at which toxins are eliminated, while depriving cells of oxygen has a high probability of turning healthy cells into cancerous ones. Number 2, ingest water-rich foods such as fruits and vegetables, and drink water more frequently to promote the natural cleansing of toxins through the kidneys that may lead to disease if the body is unable to eliminate them because of insufficient liquids. Number 3, ingest good food combinations to avoid overloading the digestive organs. Avoid eating starch and proteins together, because food rich in starch require an alkaline environment to be digested, while protein foods require an acidic one. Chemistry dictates that these two substances cannot act simultaneously because they cancel each other out, slowing down the metabolic process or even blocking it. This makes the food ferment, overloading the body, causing fatigue, and even creating more acidity that thickens the blood and slows it down, depriving the body of the oxygen. Number 4, eat smaller portion because physical and immune deterioration is delayed by dietary restriction, effectively slowing aging. Number 5, consume plenty of fruits because it requires less energy to digest and because it contains bioflavonoids, which prevent the blood from thickening and blocking the arteries. And these will also strengthen the capillaries and reduce the hemorrhages. Number 6, do not consume too much protein. A grown man needs only 30 grams of protein per day. Beyond this threshold, it may overload the kidneys and produce waste substances, such as ammonia, into the tissue, creating even very serious damage. Consider that a steak alone contains 0.9 grams of uric acid, but in one day, the kidneys can eliminate only up to 0.5 grams. At this point, we are ready to set our goals. What next? Our ability to tap into our resources is directly proportional to the clarity of our goals. So there are some steps to follow to set a concrete goal, and they are the following. We need to create a list of our dreams and convince ourselves of the possibility of their achievement. We need to calculate the time needed to achieve each result with long-term goals in mind. Then we need to choose the 4 most important goals, and we need to define why we want to achieve them. There are many things that we want, but the things that we define as necessary and act on are the ones for which we have many reasons. So reasons make the difference between having interest in something and fully committing to it. Then we need to ensure that the goal is not dependent on other people, and we need to make sure it is a healthy and desirable outcome. Then project these positive consequences. We need to make a list of the major resources that we have. It could be money, friends, education, time, energy. And we need to focus and think of a time in our life when we used these resources very skillfully. We need to describe then the kind of person that we need to be in order to be able to reach our goal, our attitudes, our beliefs, our behaviors, and indicating what prevents us from getting what we want right now. Proceeding backwards, then we need to make the next step towards our goal as small as possible and as manageable as possible, until it is reduced to an action that you can take right now. Choose successful role models to emulate, create your ideal day and all its detail to tap into the submodalities of when you feel invincible, and then design an environment around you that stimulates you and nurtures your creativity, capable of bringing out the best in you. The results then will come anyway. If not fueled by your dreams and action, they will be fueled by other people's will. Once you start working on yourself, you need to know that other people have everything you need and want, because what you're asking for is something that someone else already does or has. It will naturally be necessary to ask in the most appropriate way. To do this, you must first ask the right person who is able to help you. As a second rule, you need to ensure a benefit to who you're asking by creating some value for them. The best way to ask is with consistency and absolute certainty that you will be able to succeed in receiving. And it will not be enough to ask once, but you must keep asking until you receive what you want. Do not blame when you do not receive. In every situation, no matter how disastrous, there is always a desirable outcome to pursue that can turn a problem into a possibility. Always try to aim for that outcome. Now, since as we said, people constitute our best resource, relationships are how we tap into that resource. We are all different, yes, but we are also all alike. We all have dreams, aspirations, desires, upsets, problems. We can move from discord to harmony if instead of focusing on the differences, we focus on the things we have in common. You will obviously encounter resistance when dealing with people, but when the easiest thing for you is to lean on your beliefs and not change your views, you must implement elasticity in the conversations and sometimes question your own arguments. Continuing to insist on an immovable viewpoint will not lead to an agreement, but only to opposition. You must know how to align yourself with the other person's view without provoking resistance. First, stop using absolute words, such as never, always, and but. Second, you must always begin arguments with an agreement and then slightly tilt the conversation to a solution that approaches both points of view. You must then never denigrate, dismiss, deny, or ignore what the other person tells you. You have to listen, understand, and agree and respect the intent without the need for confrontation. And then you have to open the next sentence with more possibilities. It is not always necessary to demolish others' thoughts and beliefs to build new ones. So many conversations seem like a game that concludes only when one is right and the other one is wrong, but better results are achieved in a harmonious context instead. The next thing Tony wants us to learn is how to anchor ourselves to success. There are objects that arouse strong and positive or negative feelings in us. Positive, such as our country's flag. Although these are mere images and symbols, these anchors are powerful as they let us tap into feelings immediately by changing our moods. We can extrapolate the same power to enter a state of maximum energy when we need it. Often, these anchors are automated. They affect us without us even realizing it. But we can create our own anchors by combining a stimulus, a strong feeling, and a lot of repetition. If you send a clear stimulus to the brain, such as clenching your fist repeatedly, when you feel yourself in a state of euphoria or strength that you can actually self-induce yourself in right now, with lots of repetition, you will soon automatically associate the feeling of clenching your fist with a strong euphoria, and you will be able to recall this feeling at any time. Tony suggests taking some time and creating at least 3 behaviors that have a clear signal to get you in a positive state that can help you get through difficult times. One last thing we need to be aware of are the rules we decide for ourselves about good and evil, and as we unanimously have the need to feel consistent with them. Now, these are called values, and they are the foundation that determines our responses to any existential situation. Values have largely been installed by parents, by social environment, and by the people around us. All the choices you made are a reflection of what you think is your authentic self. We all have a hierarchy of values and some impossible limits. So it is important to understand what values we have in order to identify our behavior. The happiness we experience is often the result of living in concordance with our values. Individual success is how much our actions reflect our value, and this is what makes success very unique and different for each person. So we can figure out our values by asking ourselves what feelings are the most important to us in every aspect of our life. The best initiative you can take personally is to describe the 5 values that are highest to you and what needs to happen for each of them in order for you to feel fulfilled. We then define whether the method we are using now is helping or hindering us in achieving these goals. Then we must set and adjust the goals to meet our values, making sure that they are within our reach and keeping them updated over time. To conclude this reading, Tony gives us some suggestions on how to get better results. And there are 5 steps. 1, we need to learn to control frustration, because frustrations are inevitable, but you can avoid incapacitating emotions. Number 2, learn to overcome rejection. You must stop sending signals to the brain that reinforce the image and the emotion of failure. Every failure is a lesson, and you don't get to success without experiencing failure. So the more you experience it, the closer you get to success. Number 3, overcome financial difficulties and express generosity with money since it is abundant. And you should know this rule if you have read The Richest Man in Babylon. It is give 10% away, use 10% of your income for debts, and save 10% for investments. Then live on the other 70%. Number 4, do not enjoy excessive comfort or you will stop growing. You have to judge your achievements by your own goals and not by comparing yourself to others. You need to remove yourself from the usual coffee talks, politics, and from socials, which are useless for your goal, and they represent only gossip that takes away time, attention, and energy with no utilitarian purpose. You need to focus instead on yourself. People who gossip do so only to distract themselves from the boredom they feel as a result of the inability to produce desired results. And number 5, always give more than you expect to receive, because there is no success that can be achieved alone, for it must be shared. Now, to conclude, since communicating what you have to offer is the substance of existence, the power of persuasion is the highest ability you can equip yourself with. Persuasion is an omnipresent reality in every conversation, whether you realize it or not. So it is no longer a matter of choice, but of necessity, because everyone is competing for your attention. All problems in the world actually arise from behavior or have a behavioral solution. You must therefore reflect on the direction in which you are moving and begin to practice small cumulative principles that you learn in this book so that they have an exponential effect on your future. Change, adapt, and grow. If possible, do it in a group of other people who want the same. Surround yourself with people who have positive attitudes and produce results. Do not become a prisoner of emotions that do not help you. We all have the same amount of time. The difference is in how we use it. Spend time and effort to work out new ways to derive joy from life and share them with others. Take charge of your destiny and act. Make sure that this video is not a waste of time. Remind what you have learned and put it to work now. Don't be a part of the many aspirants who talk and talk. Choose to be one of the few who does. And that is all, guys, for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and I wish you a fruitful personal growth. As usual, I will leave the link of the book in the description so you may purchase it on Amazon. You can subscribe for more similar content and I will see you guys on the next video.